Alright, good morning everyone. Looks like we're back to another day of making this pirate game, currently called Risky Reef. That was that is one of the names from the board game that I made a number of years ago, which I am still actively working on. Well, not actively, but I am still working on it. So, today, I have no idea what we're doing. I'm only going to work for an hour because I have some other stuff that I have to do this morning related to my main job. So, I'm going to keep this a little bit shorter. It looks like I should go the other way around and probably put the latest up front. But last time we did a little bit of, we did some editing of the port and the port system. So, alright. So I know we did, so that was, what day was that? 5455, Cinco de Mayo. That was 12, 8, 12. We are already on episode 13, which means I've done between like 20 and 26 hours of work. I'm not doing 2 hours every single time, but I'm probably doing an hour and a half or so on average, so about 20 hours of work. So about half a week. I think that's, for the things we have going on, I think that's pretty cool. Like a weekend of work, a game jam's worth of work. But I also haven't been taking the game jam approach to it, so, kind of taking the more slow and steady, just kind of evolving this thing that I have going on right now. So we have a few different things that I think work really well, which is the idea of these different ports. You can see these different colors belonging to different factions. They kind of grow in interesting ways over the course. I really like this idea where, the yellow ports, the way it kind of evolves at the start, I think ends up actually working out really well. So we have like the yellow faction there, the green faction here. There is probably a little bit of an issue with the factioning. Often like one of these alliances ends up kind of taking over the center and can end up, taking a good chunk of the board. So that's something to potentially take note of. Like, the way it's created right now, this purple ends up suddenly dominating, and you get, a port alliance like this that just has these two over in the corner. Oh, actually, that's kind of, wait, no. Okay, so then we have purple as kind of a line on them. So purple's there, and there. And then green is everywhere else. Green really is dominating this one. And it was dominating the last one. Let's see if it dominates this generation. Yellow is dominating this one. They have this whole cluster of close islands. So, cool. Purple doing pretty well. And then, is it only... no, there's a couple of the orange. So. Again, though, I think this generation is creating a surprisingly good sort of variance across the system. So going with it for now. So I'm thinking then we align our ships to an alliance. So I think that's the first thing I'm gonna do, or that's the next thing I'm gonna do, which shouldn't be too hard. We'll see how it comes out. So if we go to our ship, we can see that our ship has an island state variable. And as I kind of reference here, I'm not sure how this is going to separate out. I think probably what we want is an island state actor is going to be some sort of thing. So that will be anything that's like belongs to an island state, whether it's a port or a ship, might have a set of behaviors. So for how they interact with others and how their behavior and feeling towards others is influenced. So, and this is most important because we want to think about just like, we want to think about ship battles, right? We want to think about these ships being friendly, being non-friendly with each other. And that's kind of the next thing that I think could be really exciting. And it's going to prove how minimal I've made the AI so far. So, all right, let's dive in today for the next 45 minutes or so. So if we go ahead to our world script, we have our alliances, we're going to create our relationships. And I think then we want to... we then want to connect our relationships. How do we want to determine what ships? I'm wondering if maybe each port generates so many ships, or each alliance generates so many ships. I feel like port is actually the better way to do this. So if we look at our world, right now we are going to be generating 15, between 9 and 14 ports. And we're going to be creating 30 ships. So essentially 3 ships, 2 to 3 ships per port. Just kind of a, yeah, we can do that math. So, yeah, I think maybe that's what we do, is we, instead of right now creating all of our ships, and hopefully I did this code well enough. This is not actually, right. This shouldn't actually be that bad. So right now, we have our, it's creating it. So we're going to start by creating our player. So assign all port alliances. We also have this add port. And so do we, no, let's still create the ships as a separate thing. So the first thing when we call create ships is create player. So add ship 0. As you can see, if ship number ID is 0, this is going to be the player. It's going to start at the center of the world. Maybe we will probably eventually start it at a port, maybe. And then, instead of for the length of the ship, we are instead, so we have to 30 ships, up to 15 ports. So we are going to up this to 3 times as many ports. So 14, 28, 42, which could be a lot of ships. Ugh. Yeah, that's fine. We'll still... No, 30 is fine. I think two per port, which means that we could end up having only 18. Or we could have as many as 28 ships. I mean, that was a very full screen that we had, so... yeah, okay. So we're going to say we're just adding 2 ships for every port that we have. So for int less than ports.r.length if ports, so then we're going to have our int ship count equals 1, and if ports .r.i.active game object .active self then and then another for loop for int j equals 0. J is less than 2 j plus plus. Add ship count plus plus. So then I'm going to separate this out into its own function. Add ships to port. Actually, so int port index. Add ships to port I. And I'm going to send it ship count. And then we're going to add a ship count plus equals 2. Int ships per port. And we're going to separate this out. Port. This. Public int ships per port is going to equal 2 by default. Add ships to port index, and int ship index ship count. Alright, and then we actually don't want to add to it here. Oh, actually we do. Do we have any other ship count? No. Okay. Alright. Port index. If the port, we want to just do this. If port index is not active, return. Cool. Return false. Did we add ships to this port? Okay. Return true. If adding ships to port, then increase our ship count. Alright. Otherwise we did, we're gonna say, oh, we can start this at ship count. J equals ship count, and J is less than ship count plus 1. That's 2. J. Rename that to I. Okay. So now, we're basically, we've made a thing starting at ship count equals 1, sending ship count to add ships to port. Add ships to port is a Boolean function, so we need to send it back a false or true. If it successfully adds ships to port, we add to our ship count. And then, next thing, we're not just going to add ship, we're going to also need to give the ship an alliance information. So, where did we set up our alliances? So we'll need to add our ships after our alliances are set. Get nearest port alliance. Where are you called from? Or why is it not checking other files? I know you exist in other files. Assign all port alliances. How about you? Okay. So create our states. Oh, we have a lot of those. So our world creates, which creates all the objects, but we actually want to create our ships after this. Let's confirm. Yep. there's no reason, there's nothing about the port or islands that is dependent on the ships right now. So, this should be fine if, after we create our world, we create our islands. We create our ships. Objects.create ships. Which means we're just going to say create islands and create ships. And these become public. We no longer do this. So we create our islands, we create our alliances, and then we create our ships. We'll see if that sticks for now. So now, if we go to our, back to our world objects, back to our create ships, we're first adding the player. We are then adding, setting our ship count. Also doing this is not ideal. Every time I've started doing this a lot. Like, we're kind of having to check this a lot, which feels like it's gonna be something that I want to optimize later. So, but I'm not going to optimize it at this time. So, going to add our ship, and we're going to send it our ports are nope dot our port index dot excuse me, alliance island state. Oh, it's an island. Just sending it island ID. You would think I would know what I've done here. Let's see. Island subject dot. Yeah, okay. So ID is island subject dot ID is what we're looking for. Island subject dot ID. So we're gonna send our new ship, who it is aligned with. Int alliance number, alliance ID. We'll go ahead and set this to alliance ID. Alliance, and send this a -1. So in reset, it's gonna receive an int alliance ID. Okay. So reset all values is going to be doing a bunch of this stuff. As you can see, we're setting up, different types of those things. So where do we want to set its island state? probably in reset all values. One of the design questions we can ask here is, do we want IDs to be malleable? I mean, it's just an integer. Do we want our ships to be able to be friends or switch sides? What would be the motivation for that? You know, if they start to decide that their own side is more an enemy, you could have some interesting things there. If they decide, you know, for some reason, whatever this may be, they don't like the behaviors of their own island state. So, I think I am going to have I think we are going to start to need to separate out the alliance, script ship alliance. So, yep. How much are we using this right now? Only there. Okay. I don't know. Our ship has it. Okay. So for now, we still don't have a whole lot of stuff here, so we'll leave it in here. But I think what I'm gonna do is change the trail color. I feel like that might be a good, just like easy way. So, island state dot ID. Isn't that what we're? Alright, where are you defined? Capital is an integer. So maybe this actually needs an island subject. It's an island subject, isn't it? Let's find out. In our world objects, our ports. Yep, they're island subjects. So our ship is going to be the same thing. Island subject. And island subject. Island subject dot ID is equal to alliance ID. Okay. Then get component in children trail renderer dot, what are the color, is it color gradient? Start color is going to be equal to world objects dot world dot alliances dot colors and alliance ID. Let's see if this works. Do we need to do anything else in our world objects? -1. No. 1. Yes. We might actually want our player to be able to align themselves with one of these things. set its start color to color.white. Set this alliance ID to -1. Alright, let's see. Also, it seems like Unity is down. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay. Unity's back. Alright. Let's see what we got going now. Probably gonna get an error, but not yet. Nice. And I'm gonna set end color. End color, not start color. End color. Try this again. And I'm going to remove this ship movement trail. AI? Yeah, we're gonna move this debug. So we have yellow. So we should have, how many ships do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. Now again, we're starting to build more and more dynamics into this. We can start, which is, you know, things start to collide in interesting ways. Like this, which is not an interesting way at all. That's really not good. And that seems to be because just this port needs to be a little closer to the actual object. So let's see if we can find where we are setting that. Island minimum distance, that is not it. When we create our port, we add our island, get a random world position, add a port. It's the island transform position. Get random offset. Island transform.local scale.x. Seems to be just off enough. So I'm gonna say like times 0.9 F, maybe. now our port is more embedded in there. And now it would be impossible for them to get, like, wedged in there. Again, a stopgap solution to the long-term thing. But here we go. So if we look at this, we should see this ship belongs to ID 2. We should see our port is also of ID 2. So the felt port and this ship are aligned. And just for, because I don't actually like that, what if I just say color? No. I'm just going to go ahead and, it's going to be starting it in the color. It's going to be void set trail color. Color C. Alright. So, set trail color, color dot white, and this is going to set trail color our alliance ID. All right. Try this again. Green ships, purple ships. Okay. We've got that going. Maybe when our ships are within, so we have our ship control AI, which is related to steering, but we might actually want to separate this out. This is all related to steering so far, but we may actually want one more of these. Which is our oh man, I just played Return of the Obra Dinn. This was relevant. What was the weapons person called in Obra Dinn? Obra Dinn crew list. Bosun. Ship bosun, right? Nope. Maybe I was overthinking it. Is it just It's just the gunner. Alright. Just the gunner. Okay. So, with that in mind, if the gunner timer has run out, it's time to think for the gunner. The gunner is right here. So the gunner is going to be looking void. Right now, this is not going to change any levels of aggression or anything. We're just going to basically check for enemies. Gunner timer. Check for enemies. The thing we're gonna do is see. We're gonna check for anything nearby. So I think what we want is an array. Get so we're gonna say ship dot world objects dot get get ships of alliance type dot arrival, and then we'll say a distance of less than, so with less than, I don't know, 500 meters, 300 meters. Ship. Okay. Nearby ships. Public script ship get ships, and so we're gonna need an enum, so public enum alliance type, and then that is going to be rival, ally, neutral. There's all this construction going on outside, which is causing my desk to shake slightly, so that's fun. Alright, rival ally neutral. So in our world objects, get shapes alliance type, IT, comma, float distance, and then actually, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually get a queue. Of this instead of n. So we're gonna create a new queue. Ship queue ret queue equals new. Go through each of our ships as less than ships.r.length I plus plus, and if no, we need to send it. Search int search ID. So we're gonna have a few different checks again. I think I'm probably gonna want to simplify all this so we don't keep doing these same checks. First things first, if ships dot ri dot id ship ID is equal to search ID is not equal to that, and ships dot arr I dot game object dot active self, and the ID is correct, so it's active. The search ID is not the same, and the we do actually need to send it the script ship that we're searching from. Ship search ship, sure, is different than search ship dot ID, ship ID, and arri dot island subject dot ID is not and it's not equal to the search ship dot island state. So the object is active. It has a different ID than the search ship itself, and the ID is different. So well, okay. Actually, this is the first check. Is it not equal to the ship that's searching? And is it an active ship? Then this is relevant. If AT is equal to alliance type dot rival, it's probably going to become a case situation. C# continue. Okay. And if we're looking for a rival, but and the ID, the island state ID is identical, and we found the same alliance, then this is not the right type of ship. So we could say continue. And continue will move us on to the next iteration. Of this for loop. Okay. If distance if distance is less than 0f, and meaning we're looking for a negative value, and the ships and vector 3 dot distance is between our ships dot ARI dot transform dot position and search ship dot transform dot position is less than distance math f dot distance dot absolute math f dot abs distance. Gotta close that. So if our distance is less than f, so we determine whether we want far or near ships. And the vector is less than that distance. We need to close that once more. Is that accurate? Nope. Then this is also going to be a continue. Okay. Search for rival. If looking for rival and find ally, continue on to next loop. Distance being negative or positive determines whether we want far nor near ships. If that's so, then continue. Otherwise, we have in fact found the ship that we want. So, ret q dot push ships dot ri. Okay. So Q is not what I want. Is that what we're figuring out? C# Q. I thought that was what I wanted. Oh, NQ. What's the other thing? So we have list C#, list Q, stack. List and array list. NQ. Return ret Q. All right. So Q. And the only thing we need to send it is ship. Okay. So I don't have a whole lot of time left. I'm going to try and see. We're just gonna shoot. We're just gonna go ahead and fire. So we're gonna say ship dot weapons dot fire, and let's go ahead and see if we can do that where if is loaded. Yes. Okay. If we're not loaded, we can't fire, so never mind. Otherwise, we are firing, so can we get the length of a queue? That is the only thing. C# Q length count. Capacity is always greater than or equal to. Okay, so if Q, if nearby ships dot count is more than 0, fire. Let's find out. Okay. Ooh, let's find out. So the only thing I need to do now to potentially make this work is to set up our AI's gunner timer. I'm going to set this to 2 seconds. Let's see if this works. Okay, there. Alright. So that is at an X position of -800, and this is at an X position of -953. So these are within like 150 of each other. So I think that's plenty close. Yeah. So we're gonna make public this of distance to fire. Make that public. Yeah, all this stuff is related to steering. So, related to weapons, public float distance to fire equals -300F, and I think we want to say -150F. That's what our thing is going to now be. Ooh, that's bad. Creating a lot of effects. Oh, you know what's going on is they're all creating it at the exact same time. So maybe, well, let's run this anyway. Probably gonna keep getting this. Oh dear. Yep. Okay, well, we're gonna have to leave it there because I have to do some other stuff. But this leaves us some stuff to start bug fixing. So we now have our ships shooting. And what we're gonna figure out next time is what that means. So thanks for hanging out, anyone who was watching, and I guess we will see you next time.